Do you want to learn how to build these barn doors? Well, I'm going to show you how coming up. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do before we get any materials or get to the material list is you want to check your opening size so you know what size doors you're actually building. So you want to check it at the top and you want to check it at the bottom just in case. And I'm showing a 47 inches, so we'll note that for when we go and get our materials. So the first thing you want to do is take your 1x4s, and we're going to cut them all to 82 inches. And the reason is my opening is a standard 6'8", which is 6'8", which would be 80 inches. So we're going to do 2 inches over that just to make sure I get coverage above the opening. All right, so that's our 1x4s. Next, we're going to move on to our 1x6s, which will be our middle pieces and top and bottom of our door. I had a 47-inch opening, so I decided to go 2 inches over to make sure I got coverage on the outside of my door so that I can cover the opening for sure. And I went 49 inches, which leaves you with two 24.5-inch doors. And then what you're going to want to do is take and remove 7 inches, and it's because your 1x4 legs on either side of your door are 3.5, which equals 7. So you're cutting your 1x6 to fit between two of them, and that comes, mine personally came out to be 17.5 inches. But build the door to your opening. So building the doors exactly the way I did, or I am, then you would want yours to be 17.5 inches. So we're going to measure that out and we're going to cut them. And the way I build mine is I will need 8 per door. So let's go ahead and get started on that. All right, so we have our 1x6s cut out. What we're going to want to do is put 2 pocket holes on each end and per each 1x6, and that's how we'll attach it to our legs on our door. Now that we've got our 1x6s cut and drilled, we'll go ahead and start laying out how we're going to put them on the door. And I put one at the very bottom, one at the very top, and then I went from the bottom, I go 36 inches, and then I went 48 inches, and that's down. So 36 inches and then down, 48 inches down. So we're going to go ahead and put these together. What you are going to want to do when you're putting this together is throw your framing square on there just to make sure you're keeping him, just to make sure he stays square. Luckily, my 2 ends were square on my 1x6, because that's one thing that'll throw you off right here. So anyways, we're going to put this together and go from there. There we go. Just like that. Boom. There's the first quarter of our door. Now you're going to take your 2 rails and 3 of your cross braces, and you're going to rip 3/4 of an inch off one edge on all 5 of them. So let's do that. This is when the table saw comes in handy. It can be done with a skill saw. It's just easier to do it with a table saw. So I'm gonna cut these. All right, so once you get that ripped down, you wanna set these guys up on here. what you're going to want to do is make sure your cut end, you know, your side that you cut, that you ripped off, is towards the inside of the door. And we're going to go ahead and glue these and tack them down, because these are finished. So we're going to do that real quick. So right here I'm using 1 1/4" 18 gauge brad nails, because this should be 1.5 inches thick, so 1 1/4" won't go all the way through our face. So I'm gonna nail him down. And if you get to this point, you may not can see it, but it's flush here and it's flush here, but it's out in the middle. So what you can do is called worming. You get it straight. So here's the first spot. As you see, I've pulled it further out. It's straight here. I'll nail him. And then I'll go a little further down. And if it gets to the point where it's too much, you can come back up here, but I'll get a little further down here where it's straight, and then that way it stays straight all the way down your board. All right, once you've got that, we'll take our top and our bottom, and we'll do the same. Yes, I know there's gonna be a gap here, but we're gonna use the pieces that we pulled off, so that's okay. So you just line him up top and bottom, and then I forgot to mention, when you're cutting them, the middle one, not only do you take a 3/4 inch strip off one side, you make sure you take a 3/4 off the other side, and then center it on this one. And the reason that for mine, now if you're doing a full screen door, you don't have to worry about it. For me, I have a 60-pound Doberman puppy that keeps getting into our laundry room and getting socks. So he's big enough he would tear through the screen. So I'm actually putting a solid panel at the bottom, and I'm doing screen up. So whatever you choose, that's where, if you're doing full screen the whole way, you actually don't need this one. You just need to put the top and bottom, and then you can sandwich the screen between these. So your call. But the way I'm doing it, we'll go ahead and do these, get them glued and nailed down, and then move to our panel. Now that that's all done, you will take the pieces that you cut off and you'll mark them right here and here. That's at the top of this bottom cross member and the bottom of this middle cross member, and you're going to cut in there and there, and then you're going to have to take 3/16 or whatever size paneling you went. I went 3/16 Luan, so you'll have to trim that off so that this will sit flush, and then this piece will still stay at the 3/4 depths here and here, because that's all for our screen. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll cut our panel, which we can go ahead and measure our panel. We'll need a 26.5 by 19. All right, so now we just want to dry fit our panel. Fits, make sure our pieces fit. There. Boom. So everything from here down we can glue up and nail. Now once you've got your panel in, all that's left is to put your cove mold on the inside. Now I'm using primed cove mold, and the reason is I knew I was going to paint these doors. Had I said, hey man, I might want to stain these doors, then I wouldn't have got primed. I would have got raw so that I could stain it to the color. But being in it, like I say, I'm painting it. I'm only going to do cove on the top. So the way you do that, if you don't know, is it's just a 45. You know, we hope that our angles are perfect. You know, that this should be all square angles here. So what you'll want to do is just cut him at a 45. You know, and you don't even have to measure with a tape measure here. You can butt him up where you want him until you see where this joint meets. Put you a small mark, that's your 45. So let me cut him out real quick. This is what you'll end up with. You see, this is the face of your cove. So this side is what's going to be sitting up against your door. So he'll look like, see the 45, the cove is inside here. I don't know if you can, there we go. See, here's the cove. Here's your 45. All right. You'll slide him in, test fit him. Boom. I think he looks nice. So now we'll go ahead and finish out that hole. We'll just slide him in there. And there you go. So there's our trim. We'll nail him off, but you want to make sure you nail him to the front face of it, because there's going to be screening behind here. So I'm going to go do the other door, and then yeah, we'll paint him up. So now that we got our doors painted, what we're going to do is flip them over and go ahead and start installing the screen. So I'm going to bring you in close and we'll do the first one, and then all to be left is to hang these dudes up. I went with a fiberglass screen, and the reason is it's just seems like it fits better in this application, but you can also go with a metal screen, you know, if you wanted to. But since I went with wood on the bottom, you know, this should never really get hit or pushed or anything like that. And it's still fairly strong. Fiberglass screen is still fairly strong. It's just, I think a metal screen would be a little overkill for this application. But if you have it at home, then, you know, by all means, go ahead and use it. So first thing we're going to do is just roll him out a little bigger than we need, and we're going to cut him off. If you've got scissors, you can use scissors for this, or you can use a razor blade. So I do have scissors. If you don't have them, you can use a razor blade. Either will cut, but you just seem to get a little more control with the scissors, which right now, it doesn't matter. I'll probably end up using both if you'll know the truth. So we just cut our screen here, like so. Bam. And you're going to want to pick an edge. You know, your screen will have a nice straight edge on the beginning side. If your cut's any good, it'll be straight, but if not, that's not a big deal. You know, you got a good square edge here and there. So what I like to do is start somewhere and put him right up against the edge here, right here. And that gives you a good staple point. Plus, you know, it's straight. You don't have to worry about it. You can see here this fits, so that means you only have to cut two sides. Just make it a little easier on you. I've got this little electric staple gun here. All right, so once you get this corner lined up the way you want him, take your little staple gun here. And I always try to go sideways, like so, not in line with it. And the reason is, you know, your staple's a little wider, you'll get a little more holding, you know, your staple hold a little better flat ways than it will long ways. And all you're gonna do is go about every inch or so. If you're using an electric staple gun, it's easy because it's easy to put a lot of staples. If you're doing it by hand, I could see where you might want to put a little less, you know, I understand. But you just want to make sure you keep him somewhat tight. So if you want to come down to this end, you don't want to pull him hard where it gets a wrinkle, you know, but you want to pull him snug, we'll say. Something also to keep in mind is that you're going to be putting wood here and nailing it also, so that's going to help to hold your screen. This is going to hold, you know, it's just a double you know, double effort, I guess, just to now, if you're choosing in this middle section, if you're choosing to build them exactly like mine, in this middle section, it's the inside of our pantry, which nobody sees, so I'm not actually even going to put wood here. If you are choosing to put wood here, you can put staples here. If you're going to do like me, then you don't have to worry about it. Just don't put any staples here because you'll see them. So we've got that. We're going to come around here to our top of our door here. Same thing. We're going to pull them a little snug. Throw some staples in that, dude. Hey, good boy. Like so. Leave that alone. And we can come to our bottom. So I don't know if you can see this wave right here. That's what you're wanting to look for when you pull him. You want to make sure you don't have any waves in it, that he's nice and square. And if you want, you can push your gun down. Just kind of hold him there and look. See, I still have a small one there, which I can pull out here, so I'm not too worried about him. But you just want to give him a pretty good pull there. Same here. Give him a pull. Staple, 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 staple. And we'll come to this side, give him a little pull, staple, and you just want to kind of do that all the way down. Just kind of look at him, make sure you ain't you're not getting any waves in it as you do it. There. You can feel him. Oh yeah, see how he's nice and tight? That's how you want him. And this is where, if you've got scissors, you can use scissors. If you've got a razor blade, you can use a razor blade. In this situation, I feel like a razor blade is going to go a little better. But you want to kind of push him in the corner. Take your blade, just run him down that corner like so. Same here. And if you got any little frays, you can snip them with your scissors. There you go. Now all we're going to do is take our pieces here. We're going to set them in and we're going to nail them down. And just like that. You got our screen door there. Okay. So, I went with these Rely-Built barn door kits. This is the 78-inch. I'll end up using 2 out of one and 1 out of the other to get the distance that I need. And if you're building this, if you happen to have the same size opening, distance you need too. So what we're shooting for is to hang our 2 hangers on the center of this 1x4, and then per manufacturer's instructions, they give you these guys, and it tells you we're going to be 2 inches to the center of the top hole from the top of the door, and then 3 9/16 from the center of the top hole to the bottom hole. It didn't give that I could find a drill bit size, so and yours may be different because I don't know what brand hardware you're going with or anything like that, but mine is going to be, we're going to call it a 13/32. Let's go a little bit bigger. We're going to go a little bit bigger than that just to be safe. We're going to go a 7/16. It's an easy number. Oh yes. So we're going to get our tape measure and pencil, measure these out and drill them so we can get most of the dirty work done outside before we go into the house. Now that we've got our doors built, we're going to install them. If by chance you had planned on this when your house was built, then you may have put some backing boards up around, between you may have made your header bigger and then to either side. If you're like me and you didn't plan on it when your house was built, then you're going to have to put something like this. This is just a 1x6 that I'll screw to the wall, and then I'll putty the holes and paint them, and then I'll hang my doors to it so it gives you a good strong surface to mount to. So the first thing you want to do is find the middle of your board, which I went 104 inches because 102 inches give or take is what my rails come out to be, so I want to shade longer. So we'll find the center of that, which is going to be 52. We know that's our center. Then we'll move to our door and center it up on our opening. But what I'm actually going to do is, while I have it laying here, I'm going to lay my rails on top of it and mark my holes, so that then that way when I mount this, my holes are marked, are already drilled. All I have to do is put my hardware up and mount my barn door rails. So I'm going to do that real quick. Per instructions, you want the center of your bolt holes to be 1 1/16 above your door height plus 1 1/16. So that's what this line I've got marked. I've got my laser on. If you don't have a laser, you can set a level up here and do it that way. I have a laser, so I'm going to use it. You find the center of the width of your board, mark it, which since we've already got our holes, you can go that route. All you need to know is the center of your opening, which I have marked here. So you can take a stud finder. Fun fact, if framed correctly, which most doors are, on either side, you'll have what is called a king stud and a jack stud. Your jack stud will go to the bottom of your header. Your king stud should go all the way to your top plate of your wall. So you know for a fact there is something to screw to here and something to screw to here. The stud finder's only for what you're going out past that and for what you're in the middle. Now there should be at least a 2x4 header here. Some older houses, they did 2x12 headers, but most modern houses, there's always going to be at least a 2x4 here. So I'm going to mark out my studs, and then we'll hang our back plate up and screw it off, everywhere we need to. And then all that's left to do is hang our barn door hardware. So I'm going to do that real quick. There we go. Just like that, we've got our back plate. Now we can hang our hardware. And one thing to remember when you go to putting this up, that these two ends of your hardware are going to be, you know, it's only 1/8 of an inch there that we're leaving. So you want to make sure you go ahead and put your stop on, because otherwise you're going to have to pull this back off, put a stop on. So make sure you keep that in mind. Is you'll go in with your lag bolt, and they'll give you a standoff, and the big end of your standoff goes to your wall. So it should look like this. So here's our lag bolt going through our standoff into our hole. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount these. So we're gonna actually mount to hang these guys. And all you wanna do, set them into your rail, just like so. And in a perfect world, he won't roll away one way or the other, which means that your hardware is level, which is always good. We set him up here, check him. Perfect. All right, so once your doors are hung, you want to check and see how they butt together. If, let's just say, if this, you know, where they meet you don't like and it's cattywampus, if you loosen one of these, that's why we drill our holes a little bigger than our bolts. If you loosen one and tilt it, you know, one way or the other, then you can tighten that up to get you a good seam. So all that's left now is our stop blocks, and you want to make sure it stays center of your opening. We'll get our stop blocks, and then when it comes to the outside edge, you want it to be right at your opening edge. You want it flush here. So that's flush. I'll slide my stop block. He's ready to tighten. I need to move him over. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust them. All we left is hardware and our bottom guide. Now that our hardware is on, we want to put our bottom rollers, and these are the ones I chose. They came off of Amazon, and I like them because they're adjustable. So what I have to do, since I have a quarter round on my baseboard, I'm gonna have to cut that quarter round out so that I can slide my bracket all the way against my baseboard. And I'm going right at the edge here. And all I'm gonna do is mark my quarter round there and there. And then I'm gonna cut that and mount my bracket. It comes with 2 screw holes that mount to the wall or to the baseboard, what have you. So I'm gonna cut that real quick. So now that that's cut out, we're just going to put our bracket in, mount him to the wall, and that's it. Once that's in, you just want to adjust your roller to your door, snug him down. There we go. And then you just want to check to make sure everything rolls like it should. Stops like it should. And that is how you build screen barn doors. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. And until next time, keep making dust.